What's up YouTube, Jeff back again from DopeTechDaily.com. Today I'm bringing you guys a video I promised last week. That is a comparison of what I think are the two best smartwatches on the market today, the Gear S3 Frontier from Samsung and the Apple Watch Series 3 LTE from Apple. So today we're going to take a look at the hardware comparison and then talk about the software, battery life, all that cool stuff, extra features, just so you guys can see where it's at. Now obviously if you've got an iPhone, the Apple Watch is probably going to be the better choice for you just because some of the concessions you have to make when getting the Gear S3 and using it with an iPhone, which you can do, you just lose some of the features, and I'll talk a little about that in a bit. So obviously the first thing is the build. You can see the differences in the build. You've got sort of a roundish square for the Apple Watch Series 3. You've got a fully circular display from Samsung. You do have a little bit higher pixel density on the Apple Watch. Both of them have protective glass on the front. You've got Gorilla Glass on the front of the Samsung Gear S3 Frontier. Over here you have the SpaceX Ion Glass on the aluminum version, of course, of the Apple Watch. And of course you can step that up if you get the stainless steel version or one of the Apple editions. On the back here you do have support for wireless charging. And then later, once the AirPower mat comes out from Apple, you'll be able to charge this watch with that as well. Just might not be able to do it that well with the Sport Loop band that I have enabled right now. Both of these guys have very bright screens outdoors. I haven't had any problems at all with the screens on either the Apple Watch Series 3 LTE or the Gear S3 Frontier. Now on the Gear S3 Frontier body on here, you do have stainless steel right here on the base model for $399, which is pretty nice. This model here, the LTE version of the Apple Watch, this is the aluminum model that I got for $439. So you get a little bit more durable materials on the base model. Band options that come directly from Samsung, there really aren't that many of them. This is the Frontier band. It comes with this nice sport band. It's rubber. It's good if you're going to do outdoor activities, etc. On the other hand, the band options from Apple are numerous. This is the band I bought. I bought a separate band. I got the black strap that looks very similar to this for the Apple Watch out of the box. And instead I bought the Sport Loop, which has got some nice fabric with a Velcro that can let you adjust it. Very nice. There's a ton of band options from Apple, and that's one of the things I do like about the Apple Watch. So it comes to build, I mean, it really just depends on your preference. I like both of them. Perhaps I enjoy the build on the Gear S3 Frontier a little bit more just for one reason, and that is the rotating bezel here. It's part of built of the hardware. You can rotate through the UI, get over to your notifications on this side, rotate through. You can add reminders, calendar, put a contact there. I just put data there so I don't put anyone's number up on blast. Your S Health, a number of steps for S Health. Pressure, you get some news stories with Flipboard. Control your music there when you've got Bluetooth. I've got it in standalone mode right now. So both of them built very nicely. I definitely like the options on the straps on the Apple Watch, and I definitely like the rotating bezel on the Gear S3 Frontier. The next thing, of course, is after the hardware itself, the battery life. So both of these get amazing battery life. The battery is larger in the Gear S3 Frontier, but it actually doesn't matter in my practical use. I've found the Apple Watch to get about the same amount of battery life on a daily basis. I end up getting about 2 days of full battery usage on both of them. Now that's using very, sparing LTE. I'm not using my watch for LTE all day because of course I have my phone. Maybe using LTE for 20 to 30 minutes. Place a couple calls, or when I walk away from my phone, the LTE turns on, and then you're using that for a little bit, but not all day. But 2 days battery life. I've been using the Apple Watch right now regularly as my daily watch, and you guys can actually see if I go up, it's at 32% right there. So that's actually after using it for 2 days, pretty much full, and then a little bit left over today. So you're definitely gonna need to charge it on the third day. I've been using the Gear S3 Frontier, not as much because I've been reviewing the Apple Watch. It's in standalone mode right now, but even in standalone mode, which is on the LTE only, you can get pretty much a day out of the Gear S3 Frontier, which is very, very impressive. I would say if you compare both of these to Android Wear, they're way ahead of the curve if you use your watch in that way. The one thing is, of course, a lot of people are going to mention the Apple Watch does not keep its screen on all the time, but definitely not having the screen on all the time on the Apple Watch or the Gear S3 Frontier is going to save you some battery life, which I know Android Wear devices, they have that on by default. So I mentioned that last time, and some people mentioned that fact, and yes, I am aware. So battery life, very good in my opinion, if you're okay with the screen going off when you're not looking at it, which to me is not a huge deal. The next thing is the software on these two watches. So of course you've got watchOS 4 on here, and I've mentioned last time when I did the Apple Watch Series 3 video, pretty big fan of it. You got some cool little watch faces, from Toy Story, which I put on here just for fun for the video. There's an array of watch faces though. If you want to get something more functional One of the ones that I've used quite a bit is the Siri watch face. Gives you some news, gives you some other stuff in your schedule that you can scroll through, gives you the weather. But the Toy Story one is kind of fun for kids, or if you just want to play around with some new features of your watch. It's also a live watch face. I really love the fact when you press the digital crown, you get all of your apps. I thought that was not a great idea when I originally saw it, but I really like it. And one thing I will say about Apple is there's tons of third-party apps that have watchOS 4 support. You can see there Tweetbot, my third-party Twitter client, Fidelity, which is my financial app, Pocket Cast, the Apple Store app, of course, Nest, which I can use to control my thermostat on my wrist, Dark Sky, which is my weather app of choice, Feedly, which is where I get my news, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, Zillow, when we were looking for a house, you can use that very nicely. And soon you'll be able to use Apple Watch Music to stream directly to your wrist. So a lot of great app options around. Really like the way the Apple Watch also interfaces the notifications. It does a better job than the iPhone, in my opinion, because you can just press right down and clear all. You don't have to do any extra work. The navigation's a lot nicer. Swipe up here to the home control center. Very nice. They added a theater mode, which is one of my biggest complaints before. You got a flashlight, which doesn't do that great of a job, but it does okay. Everything that you need to control in there, including the LTE itself, if you're using the LTE version of the watch, which you can see right there. The Gear S3 Frontier, I've talked about many times. It does have this nice navigation with the rotating bezel, of course. Use this button over here to go back. Use the bottom button to go into your apps. Use the rotating bezel to select your apps. But one thing you'll notice here is that the majority of the apps are Samsung stock apps. You do have Flipboard News Briefing, which I use quite a bit, built in. You have a game, Monster, Vampire. And then you can get some other apps, but there's very limited compared to what you'll see on the iPhone. So you got Under Armour Record, some running apps, Indomono, which I know a lot of people like, Runkeeper, Spotify, of course, you can get that and download it, and Google Maps. So there are some apps there, but they're not as nicely varied as they are on the Apple Watch 4. With watchOS 4, you can get a lot of apps. For instance, my favorite third-party Twitter clients, Flamingo and Phoenix for Android, they do not have an associated Gear S3 app. That's going to happen. I'm going to run into that issue quite a bit. Android Wear also has limited app offerings that integrate with some of your favorite third-party apps on the phone. I think that Apple is definitely doing the best job when it comes to that third-party app integration, and I also definitely like their presentation overall a little better. The only thing I will say I do love about the Samsung Gear S3 over the Apple Watch is I do like the notification navigation with the rotating bezel a little bit better. It's a little bit easier to just navigate over with the rotating bezel, swipe up, get rid of my notifications, rather than having to force touch and clear all or clear one individually on the Apple Watch OS 4. So software, I think I would give the edge right now to Apple. The final thing is extra features. Both of these are waterproof, but the Apple Watch is the clear winner there with 50 meters of waterproof. You can swim with this if you want to. That's really impressive. People who are active. This guy, the Gear S3 Frontier, is IP68, but that's only 1.4 meters. So that's definitely something to keep in mind if you're in that particular camp. You also have wireless charging on the Gear S3 Frontier. It comes with a wireless charging dock for you to charge it in. The Apple Watch still has its little puck, which you have to affix to the back right now. But when the AirPower mat comes out, you'll be able to wirelessly charge this nicely along with your iPhone 8 and your iPhone 8 Plus, just sitting it down on there. Again, you're going to have, I guess, a different band because this is not going to work great with the AirPower mat. But anyway, you'll have that feature. You've got Apple Pay on the Apple Watch, of course. And I think the biggest factor when it comes for me anyway, because this is something I use my watches for, you've got Samsung Pay on the Gear S3 Frontier. Now, Samsung Pay, for people who don't know, is so much better than Apple Pay and the Apple Wallet because Samsung Pay allows you to actually use it anywhere that you go that has a magnetic stripe reading terminal. You don't need to have NFC to use Samsung Pay. So that's actually a huge deal. And so when it comes to the two wallets, Samsung Pay has this huge advantage that allows me to really use my watch anywhere. And that's the reason that at the end of the day, the Gear S3 Frontier is my favorite of these two, even though they both have a number of features. I probably use my watch for payments more than anything else. The final assorted features, fitness. If you're really into the fitness side, like I said, that 50 meters waterproof is probably a huge deal. In addition, I think that S Health isn't quite at the level of the Apple Watch health features. On the Apple Watch, you get the rings that close so that you can see, when you've met all of your activity goals. It's kind of fun, makes it interactive. S Health has some things like that, but I don't think they're as nicely done. Apple's very good at, sort of designing these things that make it like a game, make it very competitive for you. You can do it with your friends. So I think when it comes to managing your activity and also completing your activity goals, the Apple Watch does a little bit better. S Health does let you have a web portal you can log on and check all of your statistics, which is certainly a really nice thing to have as well. But I think, again, that if you're really into fitness, I think most people are using the Apple Watch more for fitness things than they are using the Gear S3. You can use third-party apps like Runkeeper, Endomoto, those sort of things to integrate with your S Health statistics, which makes it a little bit better and brings it up to the Apple Watch standard. But again, it's better to have it integrated from the beginning than have to use third-party apps, in my opinion. So that's my overall look at these two watches. I hope I've given you guys a good comparison. Again, for what I use my watch for, because I use it for payments probably more than anything else, I definitely like the Gear S3 Frontier the best. If you're a fitness freak or you really need a solid UI, or obviously if you're just an iPhone user, the Apple Watch is definitely the best of the two, but you really can't go wrong. Both of these are excellent, and like I said, so far ahead of Android Wear in my opinion because of the software, the battery life, and those extra features. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification icon so you can get future videos like this. You guys can find me at dopetechdaily.com, Google+, Instagram, and Twitter at the links in the description. I really appreciate you guys checking this one out, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching.